Okay. All right. So welcome. You guys already know, but for those that don't, my name is Jason Donaldson. I'm basically trained as a marriage and family therapist, but I'm working more as what I call a spiritual guide, doing spiritual guidance mentorships and breathwork ceremonies and SECM healings, energy healings. And my mission and my purpose really, and like doing these calls and these trainings and the mentorship is really to help people remember, and to remember is to heal, like to remember that feeling we had as a child, to remember that feeling, that energy of all of life, that energy of love, peace, and joy that is always ever present and inside of us. It's just there's times when we don't really feel it, we don't really connect to it as strongly because of all the other energies and the fact that we came here to have an experience, to experience something other than those frequencies and those energies. And today I'm really excited because this is one, the commanding your personal space is something I think is super powerful and very helpful, and something I use every morning, something I use every day before I do a ceremony or even this call. I'm commanding my space, I'm gridding my area. So I'm setting up a harmonious environment so that it's easier to channel, it's easier to let go of like the anxiety that comes up with getting in front of people and speaking. So that's what I want to show you guys today. If you haven't already, I have the 5-minute energy shift class on my website for free. So you check that out. That's like a primer for this, and this is going one step forward from there. So, and what you'll get out of this basically is the ability to dance with the energies around us rather than be overwhelmed or drowned in them. And I'm sure you both have your techniques already in your practices, and this is just going to be something that you can add on to it and just take what resonates and leave the rest. So I find that this helps create like sacred space, essentially, a space that is energetically more congruent with what I want to experience in my life. So I'll start. I got a slideshow here. It's been a while since I've done a slideshow. This is the Commanding Your Personal Space class, and it's energy tools and context for peace and harmony within and around us. And this is really, to me, what this symbol here represents with the pyramid, and then this symbol I made a number of years ago, which to me represents like the energy of all things, like God, essentially the universe, the source energy, where you have the masculine principle as the upright triangle, the feminine principle as the triangle pointing down. And then you also have the spiral, the circle, like everything is a circle, especially on this planet. We can go around and around in this circle, and we can repeat the same patterns over and over again. And at a certain point, there's the opportunity to see something different, to interact differently. And then that circle becomes a spiral. And that same pattern will come around, but it'll be just a little bit different, and you'll handle it differently. And so this continues until more and more that pattern is no longer anything that restricts us or holds us back. And that's kind of a universal thing I've noticed working with people over the last 10 years is people can make tremendous strides, and then there's always this opportunity that the universe presents where, why is this showing up in my life again? What's wrong? And as soon as they would ask that, it'd get worse. And a lot of it is, that's just the pattern of life. It'll come around and be like, you sure you don't want this? You sure you don't want a relationship like the last one? And so on and so forth. So that's a bit about that symbol that just came to me in the moment. I hadn't really planned on talking about that. But the theme for the newsletter, which this class grows and builds on, was the basically the patterns and the cycles, what Napoleon Hill called the hypnotic rhythm, where there's this ingrained thought pattern that happens so often that we're just like hypnotized by it, and we just go through this repetitive motion like a circle. And the premise of his book, which sat unpublished for 70 years because he was warned if he published this, it would destroy his career, his standing in the community, because a lot of what he shared in the book was criticizing the education system, the medical system, the church, a lot of things that is coming out now in the last 20 years that we're like, whoa, that stuff's all real. He was talking about it in 1930. And so, and the title of the book was Outwitting the Devil. And so his parents, his family was really religious. And he was like, they were just like, no, we're not putting out a book like that. Especially, and then even after he died, they didn't put it out. But 70 years later, they finally released it. And why this is important to me is I read the book and it showed me like the importance of commanding our mind, commanding our space. Because all the times I've ran into entities and energies and even just heavy, dense environments where there's a lot of like anger and frustration or even like violence, there's stuff that it all comes into our head through thoughts. It's always like thoughts that are manipulating things. And people talk about demons and ghosts and all that stuff. And they really don't have much power to do much of anything, but they can get in our heads and they can manipulate how we think. And there's enough people out there that hear it all the time that they start to believe it and they act on it. And it's just a knee-jerk reaction for them. And so this commanding your personal space is really taking ownership of your temple, of your body and the energy that resides in it, and becoming aware of what's in there. And not from a place of like, it's the devil and it's evil and we got to like destroy it, but more from like a place of curiosity, because even those entities and those demons and all those things, they're all designed to help wake us up. Like there's people I've taken that stuff off of. I was in a group and normally you're supposed to have permission to do any energy work on someone, but I figured I was running this group, this thing on this person was irritating me and I didn't want it there. So I just took it off and I moved it out of the circle. And he started like shaking and like coughing, not really, noticeably, but he was like coughing a lot, was noticeable, but the shaking was slight. But he kept looking at me and he was like angry, but he didn't say anything. Like he didn't really know what was going on. And I was like, oh, whoa, that thing was helping him. And so I put it back and then he was fine. And that taught me a lot about like, oh, these things protect us and they safeguard us against the horror, like he went through some horrible traumas as a child. And so whatever this energy was, it was designed to help protect him. And so that's why in doing this class, I'm going to cover a lot of things that have to do with imposing on a person's will, their own personal will. We don't want to do that. And also discerning what is, oops, sorry about that. Discerning what is like our thoughts versus something else. And ideally, we want to focus on the divine mind, the universal thoughts versus the ego thoughts and the ones that are basically a result of the environment we're in. That's a lot. I don't know if you followed all that. So again, only take in what resonates, leave the rest. This is largely my view and my experience on all this. And I'm sure you both meditate already. There's a lot of meditators may watch this later. And so there's no right or wrong way to do any of this. A lot of it's trial and error. Although I'll present what I've experienced and what people have told me is the two differences in meditation and how to do it. Really the only limitation with working with these energy tools and commanding our space and our energy around us is the limit of our imagination. So whatever we can perceive or intend can be created with focused practice and repetitive motion. This is how like buildings are built. It starts out as an idea, an image in someone's head. They draw up the blueprints, they hire the people to build the building, and then boom, there it is. And so everything starts at an unmanifest level, at an energetic level. So again, our thoughts and what we visualize and what we hold in our temple and our mind are so important to like how we experience reality. And with this meditation we do, we'll dive into how I do that. I'll guide you guys through my technique and how to command my personal space and create a more harmonious environment. So just have fun with it. There's no pressure to be a certain way whenever we do this. If you can't see things, that's fine too. You want to keep the ego out in order to dance with the feedback that is felt. So when we're commanding our space, when we're first just tuning in to what's in our space, it's more of just being curious rather than getting frustrated or upset that the body's tense or the mind is racing or there's some thought or even that there's noise around us. It's just to allow the feeling of what's coming up, what's coming forth. And what's cool about meditation is you can get into these really deep states where you're almost asleep and you're in this you're basically in like a portal in this connection with the energy of all things. Like enlightenment's really easy to attain. It's just maintaining it is the hard part. And so when we let go and we allow the flow of the divine mind, the universal energy to come into us, there's all kinds of amazing experiences of visions and past lives we can witness. And at the same time, it's like people get lost in that. They start believing that they're superior to others because they communicated with a Palladian last night, which very possibly happened, but it doesn't really change the fact that they're still a human being and that, most people can experience that if they strive for it. And that's what I've seen happens to a lot of people is they get really out there and they identify with this world of, connecting beyond the veil, and they get like this hyper inflated ego and start thinking they're superior or, this goddess priestess, which isn't a bad thing, but it's got to be grounded and anchored in. So it's got to be understood that it doesn't make anybody any better kind of thing, because then it turns into being overtaken with an energy that isn't really there for their best interest. Like we've seen a lot of light workers, twilight masters that present as these really beautiful beings, and then as soon as something happens in their life they don't like or they feel backed into a corner, they lash out and they're really pretty nasty. And a lot of that's because, in my opinion, they are bypassing, they are focusing more on this world rather than, okay, I had this amazing experience, now I got to go, do the dishes and wash the windows. Life's not going to change that much just because I met my spirit guides, but it can the more we can keep tuning into them and embodying that energy that it takes to feel that connection and get that message, at least in my opinion. Because I felt when I started studying all the spiritual material and meditating all the time and learning gypsy magic and all this stuff from my teacher, that I was going to win the lottery and then all these things were going to change and I was going to meet the woman of my dreams and all this stuff was going to happen, and it didn't. And it was just a harsh like wake up call. It's like, oh, you still got to chop wood, carry water, and you still got to be, embodying the energy rather than thinking it's just going to do it for you. So, okay, meditation overview. I've always liked this picture because she's just beyond like what I would perceive as she was trapped inside this building or this room with this really thick old school door and stone walls. And for me, that's what meditation gives me, is to let go, tune in to what is going on in my environment, what's going on around me, to just be receptive to what I perceive. So like if I'm stuck in a room somewhere, very often there's a door, there's a way out. If there's something I'm stuck in my life with something, there is a way out, but I just can't see it yet. And so meditation very often will bring that like calm state where we're able to perceive and look around and notice what's happening. So in order to even get there though, it takes activity. It takes a concentration on like the breath or on a mantra, and then surrendering and getting deep into that surrender, and then also kind of coming out of it and then looking around or intending with like these tools we're going to use today, that there be a vortex of energy or a light pillar that can be set up in this space. So it's always kind of a back and forth dance that I've basically discovered, and that ultimately meditation is surrender. You're basically surrendering to something greater, like that'd be your higher self, source energy, consciousness. And we hear this in AA, and AA has been super effective, although it's drifted a little bit away from as spiritual as it used to be. It still is, but they realized and they found that by surrendering to a higher power, by giving up our ego and allowing something greater to move us and inspire us, we break free of these old patterns and these old trappings of how we used to be and what we think we need. All right, so more meditation guidelines. This is something that's based on the work I did at the clinic. I was working with a woman that is very skilled in what's called the 3 principles approach to mental health. This is based on the work of Sydney Banks, who had an enlightened experience and was kind of a stubborn Scottish guy. Well, he was a Scottish guy. He was just a welder with a 9th grade education. And he had this profound experience and it changed his whole life. Like he used to be kind of moody and mean and, depressed. And he witnessed something, he glimpsed something where he realized that it was all his thoughts that were creating the man he was, that he wasn't insecure, he just thought he was. And he kept moving with that wisdom, realizing that there's nothing wrong with him. It's just the thoughts in his head that are creating this reality he's experiencing. And these thoughts, basically, they're his own personal mind getting in the way of the divine mind, of the divine guidance, of the thoughts that would be more in alignment with joy, peace, and love. Like he realized that is our natural state, which many of the great avatars and masters have told us that the answer is love, the answer is joy, peace. The whole Christmas thing is actually our natural state. And then we have the free will to experience everything else. So these thoughts that come in that become like the glasses that we can perceive our reality with. And this isn't a bad thing. This is how we experience these lifetimes here on this planet. If we didn't have that, we would all just melt into each other and wouldn't be as fun. It's like a dream, or it's like going to a movie and it's really poorly done with bad acting, and you can see the camera and stuff. It's like, oh, this sucks. But when you go to a movie that's really like exciting and you're wrapped up in it and you're like almost in the screen, that's what we're living down here. That's the dream that's so powerful that we think it's real. And that's a lot of what the meditation does, is it helps us connect to what's beyond this dream. And ultimately, the more we do that, the more we can connect with the divine mind. And so in meditation, what I found is I've always tried to let go of everything, all the thoughts, try to have no thought, try to not connect to any of the external sounds, just constantly letting go and being receptive to that divine energy. Like first I start with the breath, just focusing on the breath, letting go of everything. And then I let go of the breath and just allow whatever comes through. And what's interesting is sometimes stuff will come in and it'll be like a vision of something, but I'll know it's not accurate because I was just thinking about that thing, and I can trace back where that thought came from. Whereas when it's more divine mind, it comes in and it's like your whole body rings like a bell, and you get this feeling response, like this positive feeling, this openness feeling. Even if the information's something the personal mind would think was negative, it comes through, this insight of like, oh my God, it was my dad, and my dad was abused too, and that's why he did that to me. And it kind of like, it changes everything, because you get this insight and this knowing, even though it's like you don't really even feel sad for him. It's like you just understand, like, oh, that was the pattern, that was what happened. And very often it'll be a paradox, like, the answer is love. How is the answer love when all this horrible stuff's going on? And the other thing I use a lot of times is in meditation, especially if I'm doing grid work, and grid work's where you're out in an environment and you just close your eyes and you start meditating and you're feeling the energy around you, and you feel like there's something that would be beneficial in this space. Like maybe there's sadness, like whoever was sitting in the chair you were sitting in previously, or at that beach, you feel like the sadness, and you can kind of bring in the other energy. You can bring in the joy and the happiness and bring it into that space, especially if you can discern it's not your sadness. It's like, oh, somebody was sad here. You can actually bring in something else. But first you have to feel it. And so the nervous system is our wonderful feedback that something is a little off. As we're doing energy work, you can feel totally fine, and then someone will walk in the room and all of a sudden you have a reaction. You can feel something. And so it's like calming the nervous system, coming back to the breath, just letting it go, letting it go. And the more we do that, whatever came in will give us an insight or awareness. It's like, oh, that was my own reaction to just someone's presence, or, oh, I can feel that person's kind of angry. And so it's just like calming down what we're feeling inside. Like we can't really change them, because if we did, that would be a violation. They're fine the way they are. But we can work with, okay, I'm feeling anger. Okay, that's not mine. And we just breathe it out. And then we call in, the opposite of that a lot of times. Or you call in, use that smile energy. You put a smile on your face and you breathe in, after you feel that anger, and let it go. And that's what empaths experience, is they're experiencing the energy of others, and then it's landing on something in us. And so that's why the meditation's so helpful, and these breathing practices are just a game changer for everybody, where we just let go and release, and we don't take it personal. And that again would be the difference between the personal mind and the divine mind. The personal mind wants to know why, what's wrong with that person, why am I feeling this, why am I being infected by this person. And the truth is that we're connected to everybody, and we can't not be connected to them. It's impossible. And so again, one of the most powerful things is the witness consciousness, to just be the witness, and you can allow any and all things to flow through you, just letting go and allowing that flow of energy. And this one is a great way to describe, like, when we do energy work in an environment where we don't have permission, or we're just doing it because we feel uncomfortable, is we're just knocking stuff down, making a mess, and it impacts others. So, but what we do have absolute dominion over is our own personal space, like our bodies. So that our bodies, the energy within them, we have absolute dominion over. We have the right to command that space, to stand in that and be like, no, you're not welcome here. You have to leave. And they have to listen, whatever it is. And the meditation today is going to be how to help solidify that with visualizing the light coming in and breathing and expanding the energy. I'm not really sure how the meditation will come forth yet, but we command it. There's a command I'll show you here pretty soon that's based on the work of one of my mentors. It's really powerful. She's a starseed teacher, or teacher of star seeds, and she understood the very real nature of what's going on this planet a lot of times, which is a battle over consciousness, and the choice we have to focus on the negativity and embrace the light and the love, and break free of that old pattern that a lot of us wanted to play in, but now it's like, oh no, I don't want to do that anymore. And again, the universe is like, come on, no, it's okay. You always like this. So that technique will help. And again, the 5-minute energy shift that I offer. And this is the most crucial thing, in my opinion. Same with like changing the energy around us. We can't always change the energy in us. Like, we're not masters of the universe. Like, I have an injury right now. I'd love to just be able to heal it. And I've been trying, and I've been asking my guides, but my soul's journey is to like face this in a different way. There's some things that we just can't change, and we have to go through the motions with. And emotions are one of them. Like, very often our thought creates emotion. So it's a divine thought, it's going to be more positive and helpful. If it's a personal thought, a pattern from the past, a repetitive, hypnotic loop, it's going to be not as pleasant. And it happens so fast that it's like the ship has left this train has left the station, and it's going, and it's going to take a while to slow it down again. Even if you cut the engine, you catch yourself like, oh, I'm thinking about that thing again. I got to just let it go and breathe. The train's still moving, and so we can't expect it to just stop. And that's where we got to be kind to ourselves and not take things so personally when we're just feeling something that very often may not even be ours. Just like, when somebody farts, you smell it, but we don't stand there and keep smelling it and try to figure out why it's there and what's wrong with us, why we stink. It's just like, oh yeah, somebody farted, I'm going to move over here. So the mind and the thoughts are like that a lot of times. So again, you have dominion over your personal space. And in the meditation, we'll be doing a connection to earth and heaven, which is earth and source energy, honoring the directions. So in the old days, people always knew where they were. They always knew how to orientate themselves to their environment. And here we, generally will know where east or west is with the setting of the sun. And it takes 6 points out in space, even on a planet, anywhere. If as a multidimensional energetic being, it takes actually 6 points to find where you are. And then the seventh would be the heart. So we'd have the north, south, east, west, earth, sky, and then the heart, the center. And so this is again like 6-pointed like stars, the pentagrams represents the human body with the heart at the center. And so again, it's with this connection, knowing it's always there, just like that love and that peace and the joy. It's always there. We need only surrender and allow it to flow into us and trust it's that, going to show up. It may not show up immediately like we want, but it's always present or we'd be dead, because that's the energizing force of life, in my opinion. And also, so sovereignty is really what this is all about, is you have absolute authority over your energy and your body. There's things that happen to us where we didn't always have that, and it still could be that case, but our energy and what we take on as a result of that is our sovereign right. Like nothing gets to be in our field of energy that we can't cast out, right? So it's knowing it, feeling it, that we're invincible and indestructible, that we have a field of energy that can never be destroyed, no matter what happens to our body, no matter what's said to us, done to us. There's a strength and a light in us that can never be diminished. And that's the ultimate truth, in my opinion, of what we are as spirit. And so this is a representation of that. This is the command that my mentor would use very often, and one I used thousands of times when I was scared or upset, or when I felt the darkness coming in. I used, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God, I am sovereign, I'm free. And I would just keep repeating that. And more and more lately, I've been using I am love, I'm sovereign, I am free. But it's all interchangeable. It's all calling in that, remembering that divine energy of who we are. And with that command, it really helps like solidify, this is what I am, this is what I want, and this is how I live my life. And externally it may not show up, but internally we can really claim that. And the more we do internal work, the more the external change. And so also I'm a big fan of energy tools, which when I first thought of this class, what I was really excited about is like, oh cool, I share these commands I use and these vortexes that I set up, because there's been times when things were like showing up, like I'll just throw it out, like entities and things, and I felt a lot of darkness in my space. And my other girlfriend at the time, she was there and she was really psychic too, and we were able to like shift it together. And I'd start reciting this command that I'll probably do in the meditation. And right when I started setting up these vortexes, then the energy started dissipating. So I've experienced that, and also in groups too. You can't necessarily set these up like permanently in people's homes and other places, but I practice with setting up temporary ones. And if you have permission, it's not a big deal. But if it's your space, your home, you can definitely set up these energy vortexes and these pillars of light. It's all up to your own discernment. Like when I was younger and doing this, I would set them up everywhere, and now more and more I'm like, I realize, oh, well, people have these energies for a reason, and allowing them to be as they are. But there are times when it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to set up one here. And then when I do ceremonies, I always set up vortexes that are temporary. And as people are shedding energy, they can take it and move it up into source again, rather than things just lingering. Kind of like cleaning your house. If you never clean your house, it just kind of gets funky. It's not even so much for entities and things, but that can be part of it. There's pillars of light, which when I grid my space, I see them at each of the four corners of the property. If I'm somewhere where I can't really do that, or if I'm really feeling there's a lot coming at me, I'll set them up right around my body. Like, so there's pillars front and back. And you can also call in your guides, your guardians, your higher self. This is the exact thing I say. I call it my guides, my guardians, my higher self, all beings serving the law of one, God, the energy of all things. And so the law of one is basically the raw material, and it's an easy way to say that all is love, all is one, that in the end of the day, everything's going to come back to that love. Like, there's this idea of separation and evil and darkness, and really it's just that which has moved away from the oneness, and that's its free will and its right to experience that. But eventually everything will come back to that one. And this has been misrepresented in some movies where they're calling the one this negative dark thing. In some of these Marvel movies, they like to distort some stuff for whatever reason. Not sure why that is fully, but again, our consciousness is ours to command and focus. And so now we got to pull it all together. So I'll get into the guided meditation. So just find a comfortable spot. If you want to lie down, or sit in the chair. I'm already feeling a lot of energy with this because this is something I've always done in secret, set in my head, never really shared it with many people. I used it quite often. So first, take a deep breath, long, slow exhale. Become aware of the breath. Become aware of the nervous system. Any tension, tightness, any discomfort. Just use that inhale, long, slow exhale, let it go. Just letting everything go, letting everything settle down. Allow the release. Everything settling down, down to the feet, down into the earth. Just notice the heart beating if you can. Focus on that space. Space where the heart resides. Use that smile to increase the energy of the heart. Let go. Your heart's beating. Breath is breathing. Everything's okay. Surrender the mind to this moment. Surrender to the breath. In and out. In and out. Start to move the neck and the shoulders. A little stretch or yawn. Allow for deeper relaxation. Just tune into your energy field. Come into your body. That focus on the heart. Use the movement of each breath. Come deeper and deeper inside. More and more present with the energy that is you. Let go of the thoughts in the mind, the identification with whatever's there. Just come back to the awareness of your energy. your body, breath, and then the expansion and release. Now see yourself with eyes closed in the room in which you're residing. Just intend for that to be seen. Even if you can't see it, just intend that there be a vision, be an understanding and awareness in your mind's eye of you sitting or lying down in your space. Use that smile, bless you, your energy, your being, right where you are. Now expand that view out beyond the room, around to the house, to whatever property line is yours to claim, being careful not to impose on other houses, other spaces. The animals are okay. They'll appreciate this. When you found those corners, you visualize pillars of light rising up each of those four corners of your property. North, south, east, west, earth, sky, and heart. Direct the four corners sealed in the light of unity and oneness. We are impenetrable and invincible. We ask that energies of unconditional love and forgiveness be anchored in this space. Please generate blessings to all who enter and dwell here, both human and non-human, be fully connected and perpetuated in the eternally sustained light of God and oneness. Now see yourself setting up a shadow elements vortex, a vortex that can clear out any energy that feels stuck or stagnant, that wishes to depart, as this energy of pillars of light fill the whole room, the whole space. Intend an area for your home. This vortex will reside. See it as this beautiful light, sparkling, glowing, with a dark tinge to it. So it's inviting, it's not overwhelming. It allows energies to be released, carrying them up to source once again. And put one of these out in the yard as well, just outside. This vortex can carry away and clean anything that's stuck or stagnant. We'll set up a portal of energy that brings in the divine feminine, divine mother energies from above, anchoring it into a space in your house, another portal that beings can transit, can return to the mother, return to the oneness, return to the remembering, healed, whole, and complete. You set another one of these up outside. Just intend them to be there. If you can't see it, that's fine. Now we're going to work on our energy a little more. I want you to visualize a six-pointed star just behind your eyes, the center of your brain, the center of your mind. Well, mind and brain are not the same. Center of the head. Do this six-pointed star spin, turn. Allow it to be released down through your center field of energy, down along your spine, down out your root chakra, down into the earth, deep, deep into the core. Feel as it connects with the core of the earth, this wonderful energy, this 12th dimensional energy that exists at the core. Just notice what you perceive, what you feel. Maybe a crystal, maybe lava, it could be anything. Feel that cord in the body down into the core of the earth, cord of light, drawing up this energy of the earth back up into the body. Call back the star, the cord still attached, stopping 12 inches below your feet. See it spin, generate a field of energy all around you, all through you, this wonderful 12th dimensional light. Go all the way up 2 feet above your head. Feel it encompassing all around you, this beam of energy, light, the core of the earth. Bring the star back up to the top of your head, up to where that 2 feet mark is, the top of this container, this shield, this 12th dimensional shield, and send it out into the source of all things, deep out into space. The energy of the source, the oneness. Feel that connection as well. Drawing that energy in, connection to the divine, below and above. Repeat after me. I am God. I am sovereign. I am free. I am love. I am sovereign. And I am free. I am spirit. I am sovereign. And I am free. Choose the one that works best for you, the one that resonates the most. Anchor in these energies here and now with this command. Connected, rooted to the earth, and also connected to the very source energy that sustains you. Strengthening the pillars all around your home. Seeing that light flood out all around you to those corners. Put your hands in prayer position. Guardians, guides, higher self, all beings serving the law of one. Please continue to guide us to that which is our highest potential. Please guide us to our innate health, that which we will know as feelings of peace, love, and joy. Continue to fill us with divine wisdom and understanding so that we may live our best lives and assist others who desire this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. So now it's time to come back, having grid your space, having set up your 12D shield, having called on your guides, your guardians, there's any other requests you have, please make it now. Not demanding, not forcing, just a humble request. So I'll count back down from 5 to 1. When I reach 1, you will feel calm, clear, focused, and alert. 5, come back into the awareness of the breath. Movement of the body with each inhale and exhale. 4, begin to become aware of the light just beyond your eyes. As they're closed, feel the light just beyond. 3, begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes. 2, long, slow exhale. And 1, open your eyes. Come back fully present here and now in this space. And calm, clear, and focused. All right, welcome back. So, thank you all for joining. It's been a blessing and a pleasure.